Welcome to Perspective and Potential, where we uncover new ways to see the world and tap into the incredible potential within each of us. I'm Abigail Straight, joined by my co-host and mother, Gwen Fund. Together, we'll explore ideas, stories, and strategies designed to help you grow, shift your perspective, and embrace a more complete version of yourself. If you'd like to learn more about us, you can check us out on perspectiveandpotential.com. Thank you for joining us. Let's dive in and see where a new perspective might take you. Today, we're talking about holidays and celebrations. The holidays have a way of slowing us down and reminding us what truly matters. They show up as these tiny anchor points throughout the year, moments where life presses pause so that we can breathe, gather, and remember who we are outside of the hustle of our everyday routine. Whether it's a major celebration or a quiet personal tradition, these moments of ritual and rhythm shape the way we connect, reflect, and find joy. Today, we're exploring how celebrations, the big ones, the small ones, and everything in between, can become tools for grounding, healing, and building stronger relationships. But before we dive deeper, it's worth asking, why do holidays matter so much to us? Not just culturally, but emotionally and mentally. What is it about stepping out of our normal routines that helps us reset, reconnect, and find a different kind of energy?
Holidays are traditions that give us the opportunity to take time off of work or to reconnect with ourselves and our family and our friends. So when we celebrate holidays correctly, that can actually improve our mental health through reduced stress and increased relaxation, and sometimes participation in fun activities or creating positive memories. Anticipation actually for holidays gives us a motivational and morale boost, and that can really help us work better and more efficiently as we approach the holiday. So holidays really do provide opportunities for bonding and for connecting with our loved ones.
I love the way that you describe that because it reminds me of how much of our personal well-being is tied to that rhythm and meaning. So holidays aren't just days on the calendar, right? Or at least they shouldn't be. They give us something to look forward to, something to prepare for, which I think is also part of the enjoyment of holidays, right? It's, when we talk about, in terms of the Christmas season, there's a whole lead up to that event. And then over time, it ends up giving us something to look back on and
Mm.
feel that feeling of gratitude. So I think, like I said, one of the most powerful parts of that celebration is the intentionality and the effort behind it. And when we step into a holiday with purpose, whether it's we're seeking that connection or rest, service or joy, right? Kind of that mental preparation of going into the holiday, then we widen the gap between reacting to life and then truly experiencing it, right? If our celebrations and our holidays just become something that we have to check off the list, we kind of miss the whole point of it. Um, but when we do, traditions become these touch points that help us remember where we've been, who we love, and what we value. It just even every so often as I'm scrolling through, the thousands of photos on my phone, I'm looking back at different seasons, different holidays, different celebrations. And it reminds me of all of those things. So I think when we approach the holidays with that mindset, grace, intention, and being present, then the holidays stop being something that we have to manage and they can become something that genuinely fills us. So again, let's, I think, maybe acknowledge while the holidays can be beautiful, we also know that they don't always land that way. The same moments that bring us connection can, I feel like, easily stir up old emotions, new pressures or expectations that we weren't prepared for. So I do think it's important to acknowledge that the holiday season can have two sides, right? There's the celebratory side, and then sometimes there's the side that can feel a little bit heavier.
Well, you're right. Yeah. In some cases, they really can become more stressful than joyful. Financial pressures, having unrealistic expectations of, what we want to do for people or what people should do for us, traveling. And then, let's be honest, family tensions can overwhelm us and bring on feelings of anxiety and dread. Loneliness or grief also can turn our holiday spirits directly into sorrow. And especially if it's the first holiday without a loved one, or after losing a job, or getting a divorce, or any of the other myriad of things that we just need to have present in our lives in order to feel at peace. Even the fact that there is less sunlight during these winter holidays, that can bring out things like seasonal affective disorder in some of us, which, is very real threat to to us having depression. So we need to be aware that there are all these negatives that can impact us.
If you, what advice would you give to someone who maybe this is, they're going through that year of first after having lost someone? And because I think that first year after losing a loved one, every holiday, every celebration is going to evoke those feelings. So how does someone manage going through grief while also acknowledging gratitude for the memories that they do have?
Okay, and we will discuss, I think, a little bit more in depth later, but it's not denying yourself that connection with other loved ones. Um, yeah, it is really hard when you have these firsts, but it's imperative that we move forward, that we don't sit and wallow in the grief of the whatever the loss was, that we do try to, make sure that we stay connected, and we do go out and, even if it's not as joyful as it was the year before, at least try to find what joy you can.
And I think too, knowing that time does heal, like that things do get better with time. So just taking, as we've talked in the past, taking that step forward, a day at a time. And I feel like it's an important point because pretending that everything is cheerful when maybe you're not feeling that way, um, it doesn't make the hard parts disappear, right? So that can just be isolating. Um, and the reality is that many people walk into the holidays carrying things that nobody else can see. When the world around you seems to be wrapped in joy and sparkle, and it can feel sometimes maybe even more painful in that moment to admit that you're struggling, right? You also maybe are being sensitive to not wanting to um, impose or put that feeling that you're struggling with on anybody else. But I think the truth is the holidays can become more meaningful, not less, when we allow authenticity into them, right? Sometimes it looks like simplifying our plans or setting boundaries or choosing just a smaller celebration. Sometimes it means finding a quiet tradition that brings comfort or reaching out to someone who understands. And sometimes it's just simply reminding ourselves that we're human and it's okay for joy and that heaviness to actually to coexist. I also think it allows us to, approach the season with compassion for ourselves, but also for others, so that we can create that space for healing, connection, and new traditions to emerge. For my family, my husband lost his father in January. And so we had, the Christmas right before is cancer, and the disease was really starting to take hold. It has made the Christmas season really have both of those feelings. We still feel joy, um, but there is a little bit of a reminder always every year. But years and years ago, on our very first Christmas together as a married couple, we uh, my in-laws, my husband's parents came to visit, and my father-in-law brought a pine cone, and he he just picked it up on the way up to the apartment, and he handed it to us and said, "Merry Christmas." At that point in time, we didn't know what the future held, but I held on to that pine cone for some reason for all these years. And after he passed away, I ended up going to the store and grabbing some, floral things that were Christmas, sparkly cranberry. And then I glued and I put that pine cone on that. And that now serves as a very poignant Christmas decoration on our tree every year. And so in a way, to us, it kind of encapsulates that exact sentiment of remembering with fondness, but recognizing, that he is not here in person anymore. And so
And
I think
and honestly, like, if you go into the stores, they have a lot of ornaments now that, are Christmas angel, and you put a picture of your departed person in there. And so, that is a way, the pine cone or the ornament or whatever, it happens to be, that is the way of having them still there with you,
right,
during the Christmas season. They are very much present in your heart and in your mind through those things.
absolutely. And I think the choices that we make ahead of time can have a huge impact on whether the season then feels meaningful, overwhelming, depressing, you name it, right? But we do have to kind of go in with a mindset of of uh, of what we're walking into that season with.
Okay. Well, so let's talk about, the focus for a happy holiday. And, there's a few bullet points here I think we need to, just kind of really emphasize. Number one, be realistic and set your priorities. Look at your finances and your personal responsibilities. So ask yourself these questions. What can you comfortably afford to spend in terms of time and money on this holiday that's coming up? And you need to include things like travel. Are you gonna be traveling? The gifts that you wanna buy, or maybe you're thinking about an expensive getaway. We all wish that we could do more sometimes. So, but it's okay to be creative and to think outside the box for ideas on how to make our holidays special and memorable. But overspending and overtaxing ourselves physically or emotionally are going to have lingering negative effects on us. And, over time, these things can tend to make us dread holidays rather than look forward to and enjoy them. Number two, don't forget to include self care in your planning. For people like maybe you have health issues and you're on a diet, or maybe you have a workout routine, people with heart disease or something, and they need to take a walk every day. Um, Ask yourself, can you maintain that during the holiday? If you're traveling, is that gonna be a problem? Um, if it is, then you need to, come up with, an advanced plan on how to make sure that you're still maintaining those needs that you have. Um, any other health concerns that need to be accommodated? So the bottom line question for number 2 is, will this holiday plan increase your stress and anxiety levels? And if the answer to that is yes, then, maybe we need to plan something a little less. Number 3, this is a big one. And this is one that a lot of people have a really hard time with. Learn to say no. When you feel pressured by others, um, to put yourself in any situation that will make you exceed your resources of time or money, remember that will only create greater stress for you later on. So, also putting yourself into stressful situations with family or associates can create anxiety, undue stress, and regret. It's better to be upfront and decline any invitation that's not gonna be comfortable for you than to, go through the stress and regret it later. And number 4, with all of that said, I would also add this about the lingering grief, or being alone during a holiday. That is not the best answer. It is not a betrayal to your grief to spend time with those other people who love you. So, in fact, it could be part of the healing process. And for those of you who find yourself isolated socially, you can take charge of that holiday time by volunteering to serve someone else. One of my brothers is single. He's been single his whole life, and he every year will find someone he works with. He's a TSA agent, so they're on duty 24/7. But he'll find somebody that he works with who has a family who's scheduled to work Christmas or Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, and he will volunteer to trade with them. And it really serves 2 purposes. It makes him feel like he's given a gift to this person so that they can spend their holiday with their family. But it also serves him as well because those who work together on those holidays, they bring in, potluck and he has company, he has people that he interacts with, and he is no longer alone on Christmas Day or on New Year's Day. There are people who go and work in soup kitchens. So, you don't have to be alone. I think that's the bottom line. There's many ways that you can volunteer and find real uplift in your life by being there for other people.
I think that is such an incredible story and an example that really just demonstrates that really the heart of what we're saying is that healthy holidays start with intention, looking for opportunities, um, not pressure, right? If we so choose, we often may let the world or social media or even our own expectations what a good holiday should look like. Like you said, good holiday means no work. But that might not be the case for everyone. And there's also this beautiful thing in the story that you shared where there's a way to also give back. It's not about how much should we buy or how busy should we be, how perfect everything should turn out. Because that mindset pulls us out of the moment and it puts us into comparison, obligation, maybe some burnout. But when we take the time to be honest with ourselves about our budget, our energy levels, our emotional capacity, our emotional status, then we actually give ourselves the gift of a simpler, happier season. So setting priorities isn't about limiting joy, it's actually about protecting it. It's choosing connection over that expectation or performance. And it gives meaning over excess and peace over pressure. I think the piece too that you said about saying no, that might be one of the most underrated holiday skills, right? Boundaries aren't selfish. It's responsible. Speaking with somebody that I have the opportunity to work with, um, he feels very comfortable in knowing what his boundaries are, and he has set that precedent that he believes that it is a time to choose family, but not to chase family. Maybe, right? So you might extend that invitation, but if it doesn't work out for everybody, it is not about, again, overburdening yourself to make everything picture perfect. Because then we can stretch ourselves so thin that we lose the ability to enjoy anything at all. And that's not the thing that makes those memories. So a kind, honest, not going to be able to make it this year, or no, is almost a better way. It's better than forcing that yes that just leaves you drained afterwards. But I also really, really love what you said about grief and loneliness, because the holidays have a way of magnifying those feelings. So choosing connection doesn't mean forgetting or replacing the person or situation. It just means allowing those things to exist alongside each other. Sometimes it looks like creating a new tradition that honors the past, right? Like that decoration that we have in our tree. Most years when we go to put that decoration in the tree, we all just take a moment to talk about something that we remember or enjoyed about my father-in-law. And at the end of the day, a happy holiday isn't about doing everything. It's about doing the things that matter in ways that keep in mind your health, your limits, and your emotions in your heart. As we wrap up this conversation, here's a few reminders to carry with you into the holidays. Holidays are more than dates on the calendar. They're intentional pauses that help us reconnect with ourselves, our people, and the meaning we want to create. Joy and heaviness can coexist. The holidays can bring celebration, but they can also stir up grief, stress, or unrealistic expectations. Clarity protects your peace, so be honest about your time, your finances, and emotional bandwidth. Boundaries are a form of self-care. Saying no when needed and saying it with kindness helps you stay present for the moments that matter most. Connection, even when it may feel like the last thing you want to do, connection is healing. So if you're carrying grief or loneliness, we encourage you to lean into community service or a service that can offer comfort, perspective, and a sense of belonging. Meaning beats perfection every time, so simple traditions, intentional choices, and authentic moments will always outshine the pressure to make everything flawless. The holidays don't have to be extravagant or perfectly orchestrated to be beautiful. They simply need to be yours, aligned with your values, your capacity, and the people you love. If you'd like to learn more about this podcast, please be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We'd love to hear from you. Your input helps shape the conversation and makes perspective and potential even more impactful. We're Gwen and Abby, and you've been listening to Perspective and Potential. Until next time, keep exploring new perspectives, and remember that every small change can lead to something big. Food for thought.
Bon appetit.